children. I'm going to tell you a little story. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. It's a little story about this little house in Ambleside. In fact, it's a very little house for very little people. That's why they've chosen me to tell you about it. The little house was built hundreds and hundreds of years ago on its own little bridge. Actually, to be perfectly honest, children, it wasn't its own little bridge at all. It was a little bridge that belonged to all the people of Ambleside. And they weren't exactly over the moon when they discovered their bridge was all full of house, because they had to wade across the little river to get to the other side. And they got their feet wet and said naughty things about the man who lived in here. Now, there's a little legend about the man who lived here. Well, to be honest again, children, it's not so much a legend, more a rumor. The villagers here in this tiny place, they're the ones with the wet feet, you can't miss them. They say he was a Scotsman. And he was a daddy, just like your daddies. Well, not exactly like your daddies, because he had 11 children, and that's turning being a daddy into a full-time profession, isn't it, children? Yes, 11 children in this tiny place. There wasn't even room to swing a haggis. But the villagers who plodged by each day through the little river on their way to work, they shook their fists at the man and said it served him right. Why had the silly man built his house here in the first place, they asked themselves. The Scotsman, struggling to see out over the heads of his swarming family, just laughed back at the villagers. You see, children, he wasn't as green as he was cabbage-looking. Because his house was built in mid-air and not on land, he never ever paid any rates whatsoever, which is pretty clever. And those days in Ambleside you could meet the happiest and the most hated man in the whole village. He lived here, in the little house, on its little bridge, over the little river. Goodbye, children. Goodbye. Goodbye.